What are you still salty about? A few years ago I was nominated by somebody, I still don't know who, for a statewide Teacher of the Year award. After finding out, I went to my principal to ask if she would write a letter of recommendation for me. She told me she needed a couple of days to think about it. I emailed her all of the paperwork and info that she would need in case she decided to write her letter. After about a week of waiting for a response, I went back to ask her what she had decided, and she told me that after consulting with the superintendent they decided that since I had only been teaching for about 6 years, they didn't feel like I was experienced enough or worthy enough to be nominated for an award like this. I put on my best professional fake smile, said thanks for your honesty but I disagree, and told her I would keep asking for people to write a recommendation. Fast forward about a month. After finding other co-workers and colleagues from other schools to write recommendations, I got word from the awards committee saying congratulations and that I had won this State Teacher of the Year award. The first FU was to email my principal and the superintendent to share the news and invite them to the award ceremony. Never heard a response from either of them. FU number 2 came from my coworkers who ordered a giant banner to hang in my classroom and planned a surprise before after school. Neither showed up to that either. And the biggest FU to date is that whenever I email either of them I always sign it, name, school, State Teacher of the Year. What made the popular guy-girl lose their popularity? Way back when I was in school, a girl who was quite popular decided she could make fun of another kid's Down syndrome sibling in front of her friends. Well, the popular kids in my school weren't jerks, so they didn't laugh and literally turned their backs on her. She was a loner for the rest of the year and got the next then moved. It wasn't funny at the time nor is it funny now. Edit. Just for clarification purposes, this was not on school ground. We were at a park one night with a lot of kids hanging out when she did it. She tried to apologize to her friends for some reason, not the kid or his brother. That's when the other kids got in a car and left her alone standing there after telling her it wasn't funny and she should apologize to the kid and his brother, not them. I think this was just one thing in a long line of problems they had with her and this just was the final one. So the school had no say in it, but yes, if it happened in school she would have gotten in trouble for saying it. She also did a very rude hand-arm gestures. Also, side note, when I say no one laughed I mean no one. It more like you could hear crickets and the girl laughing until she realized it was only her. What things did you do as a kid that you now realize is extremely weird? When I was in 4th grade, so around 9 or 10, at a private school, we used pinto beans as counters during math. Well, one day someone realized if you put a bean in water, it would sprout, and it became incredibly fashionable to keep a couple living bean sprouts hidden in your desk at all times. This turned into a whole industry. Sneaking to the cabinet in the back and stealing the beans was risky, so people took on those roles. The beans were old, so getting them to actually sprout was valuable. Others would sneak the sprouts in and out of class to get sun. A boy's grandparents had bought him a science experiment kit that came with hundreds of these little plastic vials that stood up on their own. They were the perfect size for keeping a sprouted pinto bean, so he started trading them. Another 2 kids had water bottles with a straw that fit neatly into the vials and made it easy to water the sprouts. They turned it into a service. One pretty talented group of girls started making houses out of paper and cardboard for the sprouts to live in. This allowed bean families to become a thing. Another girl realized that the houses meant there was a market for bean sprout furniture. Kids starting pull textbooks out of their desks and stashing them around the classroom to make space for larger and larger houses. The houses were a turning point, because they ran anywhere from $5 to $10, which was the first time anyone had charged real money for something instead of bartering. In addition, demand for sprouts went through the roof, since you could fit 4 or 5 in a house. The kid who had been successfully sprouting the beans is under immense pressure to produce, and we've crossed a threshold so people are willing to pay real money now. Into this high-pressure situation walks my classmate Julia. Julia brings a tiny bottle of purple liquid one day and tells Bean Sprouter Kid that it's the diluted slime of an extremely rare snail from the forests up north that she collected herself while camping with her family. It's such a strong fertilizer, even diluted, that 1 drop in each vial will guarantee that a bean will sprout. In addition, a drop to each already sprouted bean will ensure a nice, green plant. There's enough for around 50 sprouts in there, but it's going to cost him $20 for the whole bottle. Well, if you're selling the sprouts at $1 each, $20 is a steal. So the kid comes back the next day with the cash. Julia gives him the fertilizer, and he puts a drop in each vial just before we leave to go home. The next day, all his bean sprouts are dead, and he's pissed. Turns out the fertilizer was just Julia's mom's perfume, and it killed all the plants. Well, Bean Sprouter Kid is not the kind of person to take this laying down, so he goes to the teacher to tell her that he got conned. And the whole thing unravels. The teacher is upset that her students have been devoting hours of in-class time to beans. Parents are upset that money they thought was for snacks or field trips was for beans. The principal has to announce to the whole school that growing plants in your desk is now banned, which just confuses everyone else. And my class is angry at poor bean sprouting kid for snitching and ruining everything. All their hard work is now in the trash. The bean sprout industry never recovered. Waitresses of Reddit, have you ever called texted a guy who left his number on the check? If so, what became of it? I was at Chili's with a friend once, and the waitress said she thought she knew me from somewhere. I said she looked familiar too, even though she really didn't. She kept coming back, mentioning places we might know each other from, and being wrong, because we'd never met. At the end of the meal I gave her my business card, with my cell scribbled on the back, and told her to let me know when she remembered where we knew each other from. She texted me after she got off her shift, and we met up for drinks. I took her home afterwards. We stayed up late playing Fear on my 360, we ended up doing the nasty for 3 hours, taking her to Denny's for breakfast. Back to my place for another hour and a half of the fun times, and then, after staying up all night, the poor girl went back to pull a double shift at Chili's. TLDR, hot waitress at Chili's served delicious baby back ribs. What was your worst they can say is no event that ended worse than a no? Briefly had a job going door to door talking to people about solar power. Whole idea was we weren't selling anything, just giving information, so I wasn't worried about commission or anything. If someone wasn't interested, fine by me. Walked up to a house that looked super nice and normal, didn't have no solicitation signs or anything. Instead of just saying no, they literally pulled a gun on me, lol. Oh, this is a good one. I got a job offer after being out of work for months. I had questions about the usual: salary, time off, nothing major and not making demands, just asking. If they had said no to all of them, I'd have taken the job anyway. Their response? I'm sorry, but we are withdrawing the offer. What? Who does this? Asked my crush to dance in middle school, said he already had a dance partner, so I said okay, that's fine. And walked away. Only to look back at the sound of laughter and see him dancing with a chair. He decided to show me, in front of everyone, that I was less attractive than a chair, so that was great. What's the worst response to I love you? See you in chemistry. Ha. Oh, wait. You're not joking, are you? Complete silence. As a friend, right? That's nice. It'll pass. Your communication violates our restraining order. Okay. Scene. Screenshotted. Good to know. Ew. This is like, so embarrassing for you. Why did you even tell me? Aw, I love you too, bestie. A blank stare and them walking away, gradually increasing their speed to running, until they disappear around a corner or over the horizon. Well, now that I have your attention, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. How did you figure out your significant other cheated on you? Her little sister came up and asked if I'd met her boyfriend yet. I was like, you know I'm her friend. We've been dating for years. She said no, the new one. So yeah. Her parents had CCTV all over the house. Her dad played the video of her kissing and fondling another man in front of me and half her family. I don't think he liked me. Dodged the effing bullet though. One of my friends called me and said, yo, I'm at the bar right now and your girl is here with some dude. The dude turned out to be my co-worker. She received a WhatsApp message in the middle of the night and the light from the notification was bothering me. I just wanted to get rid of the notification when I saw it was a reply from a message she sent that said good night my love, and the dude replied with a I love you. I actually didn't find out until nearly a year after we had broken up. Met a girl at a party and we started talking about crazy exes. Our stories sounded a bit too similar and I jokingly asked, did we date the same guy? Turns out yes we did, and at the same time. We had already been together for 2 years before she got involved with him. That was a fun night. What's the creepiest message you've received from someone? There was a mentally handicapped man in our neighborhood. I went to park to meet up with some friends and while waiting, I saw him there. I was kinda hurt seeing how people stare at him like as if he's a big disgrace in the place, so I sat next to him. That was the first time I talked to him. It was an innocent moment. He wrote me a poem and even drew a portrait of me. I kept it as a treasure and bid him goodbye when my friends came. The next day, he was outside our church's door and begun following me on my way home. My mom got worried because he turned interested with the other girls too and was reported to be stalking them around and touching their privates, so my mom shooed the poor guy away. He was out of sight for a few months and then a Facebook message popped up and he confessed his love for me and commented on my photos in public. I blocked the profile and it was quiet for a few months, and then he chatted me again using a different account, which I blocked. And then he chatted me again using another. He would go to the church and just look from outside and then leave me messages written on paper.